This is the morning of December 8th right now. I am in Southern California. This is the variety, the Atoya variety, Geffner. We kind of did a pretty good job maintaining the height of the tree. So it's quite a bit wide in terms of the tree, but not as tall as some trees could get. So this is the variety Geffner, and it is one of my favorite. It is my favorite variety of the Atomoyas. So Geffner, at least in my yard, is the first to flower and the first to ripen, and they usually ripen about a month ahead of most of the other varieties. Um, so with Atomoyas and what you can usually tell when they're ripe with a combination of things. Usually, it does develop a aroma to it. Sometimes it's subtle, sometimes it can be more stronger, but it does develop an aroma to it. The skin color goes from a dark green to a lighter green, and even like the tinge of yellow. The other thing is that it has a kind of like a tacky feel to the fruit. So you feel it feels like there's been sugar that's developing on the skin, so you feel the tackiness of it versus an unripe fruit where you don't feel it. So that's some of the signs of a ripe Atamoya. So this variety Gaffner, it does ripen about a month ahead of most of my other varieties. Unfortunately, it doesn't hold on to the ripe fruits that well. This is an example of one that dropped. So some varieties, like the African Pride, for example, they can hold on to a tree for a long time, and then even past its peak. But with the variety Gefner, unfortunately, it does drop, and dropped Atomoya fruits, in my opinion, is not as good. It's usually less sweet, and the texture, I would say, is usually a bit more mushy. So Atomoya, I definitely like to pick it when it's hard green and not something to be tree ripened. So this is the variety African Pride or AP. They're the sweetest fruit, the sweetest variety I have. So they can actually be picked even before like they show like peak ripeness from the fruits I have. Like for example, there's not much tackiness to this, but even though I pick it early, they're still quite sweet just because it's just a very sweet variety to start off with. So there's quite a few that's already like quite large. I mean, these I could tell is about like a 2 pounder. You know, these are quite large, like 2 pound fruits. It's quite a bit more. So this is just a part of the tree. So this is the variety African Pride. This is my mislabeled variety. Kind of similar to African Pride, but they don't get as big. And they have a little bit more of acidity to the taste. Alright, there's some aphids here. I think I'm having some airflow issue. So you can see kind of like the aphids. I'll probably have to spray these or like pick them off. These are the Lisa. So they develop quite a nice red coloring right now, but they're still far a bit behind on the rest. The size is pretty small, so hopefully it develops a bit more size. But this is Lisa. So this is the variety known as PPC. Okay. Looks pretty good so far, but I had some fruits that's already cracked, and we haven't gotten into the really kind of wet season yet. So this is PPC. Really nice softball sized fruits right now. This is a Cherot. Really nice sized fruit, but the skin coloring is kind of odd. It's I know it should eventually turn red, but right now it's more of like a dark kind of color, almost looking like it's a bad fruit. Not sure if that's normal, but we'll see. So this is also another Cherot fruit, Penis Cherot. And again, I know it eventually should turn into like a bright red fruit, but the coloring on this right now, it's almost like a brownish color. It's very kind of unusual. So we'll see what happens. First time I am getting fruit on this variety, so hopefully it does develop the color and see how it goes. So these are some of the picked fruits just to kind of test them out. This is a Cherot seedling, and my seedling came from a booth seedling. So really nice flavor. This is one of the few Cherot that I do keep in my yard. So here's some Gefners. Picked some of the smaller ones to test them out. I mean, they're definitely ripe, but test it out. Gefner is really one of my favorites. It's not the sweetest, but it has the best combination of texture, a little bit more complex flavor, sweetness. Has all that combination that I like in it. And this is a small African Pride. Picked this to kind of just test it out, but this is African Pride right here. Usually a very sweet fruit. And these usually ripen after the Gefner, and the Gefner is Gefner here.